How are you doing? I'm Wayne Dedetto, and I get to do what I love doing every weekend, and that's run a sprint car. Oh yeah, it's a lot of fun, but it's also serious business for us on the track and in the pits. Just like your job, driving requires the person behind the wheel to respect the vehicle, respect the roads, respect the other drivers. Did you know that motor vehicle crashes are the leading cause of death for oil and gas employees? It's true. It's probably the most dangerous activity you will do. So let's take time and remind ourselves how to do it right. Believe me when I tell you, this is something we can all improve on. Really not all that different, you and I. Safe driving involves 3 steps. Things we do before we drive, while we drive, and after we drive. There's a number of items I check before climbing behind the wheel. These items help keep my car performing at its best and keep me and every driver on the track safe. Let's take a look at some things you should do before you drive.
In order to promote safety and prevent liability, there are specific qualifications for anyone who drives Seneca Resources vehicles. Only company personnel or approved third parties are permitted to drive company vehicles. Regardless of what position these individuals hold within the company, all drivers must be ruled eligible by both the Human Resources and National Fuel Risk Management departments. Of course, a valid and current driver's license appropriate for the type of vehicle being driven is also necessary. Driving a CNG vehicle, towing trailers, tying down loads, or operating off-road vehicles are just some examples of the circumstances that require special training. Contact the EHS or Asset Management Department for proper training on these special items. Understanding the purpose of the trip, plus the elements necessary to make that trip successful, requires proper planning and journey management. Take time before you leave to determine what situations you may encounter in your travel. For longer trips, this may involve arranging for meal or rest breaks, fuel stops, or detours when necessary. Each location you travel to and from has specific road conditions as well as traffic, weather, construction, and other types of potential hazards. Be aware of traffic patterns and requirements on and around Seneca Field locations and obey all signage and security policies. Always learn all you can about the area you're traveling to. Some Seneca Resources facilities are located where transitions from area main roads to company or lease roads will offer unique challenges and potentially difficult terrain. Knowing ahead of time what these situations are will produce a safer driving experience. Proper planning can help you choose the right time to travel, the right vehicle, and even whether or not the trip is necessary. There are 3 different vehicle designations: assigned, pool, and rental. Each has a specific purpose, and any intended use should fall into those guidelines. The company provides and assigns vehicles to employees whose position takes place at field locations, specifically non-office facilities like pad sites or leases. This is the vehicle that the employee is expected to use in performing his or her job responsibilities. Like any company-provided equipment, it is the driver's responsibility to keep the assigned vehicle in the best possible condition. That means keeping up with regular maintenance and repairs, documenting all vehicle upkeep with proper invoices and receipts. If you believe that your work is eligible for an assigned vehicle, you'll need to submit a vehicle request and authorization form and obtain the necessary approvals. Pool vehicles are similar to assigned vehicles, but are intended for those who only travel out of the office for company business on occasion and not on a regular schedule. It is always preferred that you use a pool vehicle instead of your personal vehicle for company business. While it is asset management's responsibility to maintain the pool vehicles, you should inspect the vehicle for any issues like visible tire or body damage before driving the vehicle. It will always be much easier to make needed adjustments or repairs before you get out on the road. If maintenance or a repair is needed on the pool vehicle, you should report findings to asset management immediately in order to ensure safe operation of that vehicle. All company vehicles are outfitted with safety and emergency items like a fire extinguisher, first aid kit, vehicle incident reporting protocol and forms, fuel card, and required insurance and registration cards. Other items like jumper cables, road flares, reflective vests, and wheel chocks may be included as necessary. If you need a safety or emergency item for your vehicle, please talk to Asset Management. In cases where a pool vehicle is not available or it does not fit your travel needs, it may be necessary for employees to travel to an office or field location by using a rental vehicle. Talk with your supervisor before renting a vehicle and follow the requirements in the vehicle program and the travel and entertainment guidelines. If the vehicle is new or unfamiliar to you, it's valuable to take a few minutes before driving and get accustomed to all of the vehicle's accessories and functions. Headlights, windshield wipers, and emergency flashers are not features you want to struggle to find or access when they're needed quickly.
On the track, success and failure can be a matter of inches. While it's not likely you'll be trading paint with other drivers anytime soon, it's important to make sure your actions behind the wheel always lead to positive outcomes. Now you know where you're going, you know what vehicle you'll be driving, and you know the best route to get there. Now let's discuss some things that you should be doing while you're driving.
While there are many individual items to consider while you're driving, they all fall into the category of common sense. Thinking clearly and evaluating your actions with common sense is a critical part of practicing safe, defensive driving. Many of these things are obvious. While some are required by law, all of the following are Seneca policies. Wear your seatbelt at all times. Obey any and all traffic regulations and laws, such as speed limits or lane restrictions. Avoid any medications or substances like illegal drugs or alcohol that may cause any impairment. Be alert and aware of any situations that may require quick action. Exercise patience and courtesy with other drivers and never take their actions personally. Depending on the time of day, you may encounter heavier traffic volume due to the presence of school buses as well as speed restrictions in school zones. Needless to say, it may require an extra dose of patience and planning ahead of time to account for these delays. Be sure to obey all speed limits and stop for flashing bus lights. It's not only critical in protecting the lives of children, but it's also the law. Avoid driving distractions. That list includes, but is not limited to, things like eating and drinking, adjusting the GPS, radio, or other personal music devices, or any other activity that will draw your attention away from the road. Cell phone use should be limited even when using a hands-free device. Some activities like using headphones and texting are strictly prohibited for Seneca's drivers. Remember, any activity that distracts you from safe driving could lead to an accident. Give the road the attention it deserves. Seneca Resources prohibits the possession of firearms on company property, and this includes firearms stored in any vehicle being operated by company employees. It's a best practice to keep your headlights on while driving. Unsecured items can be a hazard, so be sure to store and secure any articles in the vehicle as not to obstruct your view or impact vehicle handling at any time. If you need storage bins, tie-downs, or a hard hat rack to safely store your belongings, contact Asset Management. While on location, you are required to back into your parking spot. And remember, any vehicle larger than a pickup truck requires a spotter when driving in reverse, especially at well sites. When it comes to backing safely, utilize the key steps brought to us by the Smith System of Best Driving Practices for seeing and avoiding hazards. 1. Aim high when steering. Evaluate the parking environment and its unique characteristics and look for opportunities to avoid backing. 2. Get the big picture. Know what may be under and above your vehicle as well as around it. 3. Keep your eyes moving. Move your head and eyes to scan the entire area around your vehicle. Incorporate the available technology in your vehicle, but don't use it exclusively. 4. Leave yourself an out. Choose a site with the fewest hazards, whether it is other vehicles or objects. And 5. Make sure they see you. Communicate. Use your warning devices to alert others. Keep an eye open for motorcycles, pedestrians, cyclists, and other motorized vehicles, and allow appropriate space for them and use proper signals in their presence. The Smith system highlights 5 characteristics of defensive driving. Knowledge. Good defensive drivers have knowledge of traffic laws and are familiar with their vehicle and its features. Alertness. Good drivers are well rested and would never take anything that would interfere with their concentration and ability to react quickly. Anticipation. Defensive drivers anticipate possible hazards and take action to avoid potential problems. Judgment. Good defensive drivers do not make risky maneuvers and look for safe alternatives. Skill. Good defensive drivers have the technical skills necessary to handle their vehicle without endangering anyone else on the road. When driving on lease roads or on other company properties, always be aware of unique hazards. Depending on the facility, these may include navigating around wellheads, tight spacing, and other areas of congestion. Be aware of road conditions such as soft shoulders, steep drop-offs, potential rock slide areas, or a lack of guardrails. Visibility can be compromised for many reasons. These locations and situations will require extra concentration and observation when watching for other traffic, especially at intersections or transitions with main roads. Many of these locations are in somewhat isolated areas, and the roads are subject to heavy load traffic as well as the elements. This can create dangerous conditions if you are not paying attention. If you come across circumstances that are clearly unsafe, make sure to report that information to the appropriate supervisor. In addition, it's important to observe all posted speed limits, watch for speed bumps, and stop at all safety checkpoints. Of course, use extreme caution when driving on well site locations, as workers and equipment can be in motion at any time. Depending on location, travel at various times of the year can be impacted by severe weather conditions. Rain, snow, ice, and even fog are all factors to take into consideration. Occasionally, wetting the soil of the road surface can create unusually slippery conditions. Other locations are especially vulnerable to dust storms and will command special attention when driving. It may even require you to pull over and stop if necessary. It is important to use discretion in determining travel departure times as well as planned travel routes if conditions warrant. Always be aware of road conditions and adjust your driving style as needed. Allow extra time and make extra stops if it means keeping safer. Dress appropriately for the weather and be prepared in case of a breakdown or other roadside emergency. Before you leave on your trip, make sure to check your fluids, tire treads, and wiper blades. It will always be much easier to make needed adjustments or repairs before you get out on the road. If driving in winter weather conditions is necessary, make sure your vehicle is properly prepared before traveling. Remove all snow, ice, and frost from the vehicle's hood, roof, trunk, windows, and mirrors to maximize your visibility. Adjust your speed accordingly. Increase your following distances and allow extra time for accelerating, braking, and turning where roads are ice or snow covered. Foggy environments can create unique hazards. For example, Tule fog in California's Great Central Valley is particularly thick and moisture-rich, leading to dangerously shallow visibility. Other fog can also hide freezing drizzle and black ice road conditions. Use fog lights instead of high beams, which can reflect off the fog, making it appear even denser.
Win or lose, when the race is over, there's always work to be done. Doing this work ensures that my car is tip-top, race ready for the next day. Proper maintenance on the car after a race is key. It shows we respect our equipment, the investment we put in it, and takes a lot of stress off the crew. Every time we do that, it helps us become a winning team every week. Let's look at some things you can do after you drive to keep your team in the winner's circle.
No matter how prepared we are or how much caution we use, accidents can still happen. Sometimes these are due to the actions of others, and other times we need to be accountable for our own errors. In either case, Seneca Resources has policies and procedures in place to report and address these incidents. Any accident should be reported to EHS and your supervisor immediately so appropriate actions can take place. Take pictures if necessary. A vehicular incident report should be filed at the next opportunity. Whether the severity is only minor vehicle damage or ranges to include personal injury, the level of investigation and review will be determined by management. The review of the incident serves several purposes. The first is to determine the root cause and contributing factors involved, not as a finger-pointing exercise, but for the purpose of retraining or employee safety. When you borrow a pool vehicle, please make sure that you return it clean both inside and outside, along with a full tank of gas. Leave the car in the condition in which you would like to receive it.
Now we covered the basics. If you'd like more details, check with your supervisor or the great people at Asset Management or EHS. Now let's take a minute and review everything you learned today. Make sure you select the right type of vehicle for your travel and that you are properly trained and qualified to use that vehicle. Prepare a realistic and accurate travel plan with your supervisor to make the trip successful. Practice safe, defensive driving by being alert and aware of your situation. Make sure you are well rested before any travel and plan safe, reasonable mileage goals for longer trips. This will include appropriate breaks along the way for meals and rest. Avoid all possible distractions like eating and drinking, cell phones, and other personal device usage. Improperly stored items or packages that can impair your vision or vehicle operation should be avoided as well. Be careful when backing up, checking the area around the vehicle ahead of time, and use spotters when required. Share the road and be courteous to drivers and others. Headlights must be kept on. Obey all traffic laws and directions. Wear your seatbelt at all times and be cautious and prepared for weather, traffic, or construction delays. Drive carefully on leased roads and company-owned property. Report any unsafe conditions to the appropriate supervisor as soon as possible. In case of any accident, no matter how little the damage or injury, report the incidents immediately. Take pictures if necessary, and be sure to fill out a vehicle incident report at the next opportunity. And always remember to return the vehicle clean and in good working order. Report all vehicle defects or issues that require repair as soon as possible. Seneca Resources creates these guidelines and policies to create a safe working environment for its employees and for others we come in contact with. Thanks for taking the time to talk driving with me. Obviously, this is a passion for me, and hopefully safe, cautious driving is for you. See you on the road next time.